This is a Tri-Global tutorial video on our advanced line features. But before we can begin on advanced lines, we have to talk about how our simple lines work. So the way our simple lines are designed, it's basically a line segment method. So location 2 in this example parents to 1, 3 parents to 2, 4 parents to 3. If you want to do a T, you can then go 5 parenting to 2 and 6 parenting to 5. Then we can attach very simple line information such as a type. This is a gas line or it's an electric line. Okay, so that is our basic simple line terminology. That allows you to build a T or any other structure by doing a segment methodology. So if we wanted to do a true conductor or line methodology, the vertices have to make a solid line. So we can go from 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that order. That makes a simple line. But if I wanted to come back in T, I would have to go back to 3, then to 2, then to 5, then to 6. So that is not a very clean methodology for making a line. So it's impossible to make a T in our conductor methodology. You have to go a line 1 going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then line 2 going 2, 5, 6. You have to have each vertice present in the line, and it has to go in order, otherwise it can't form a true line to show flow. Hopefully that makes sense. The other strength to this method of a conductor is that we can make any number of different scenarios. We can go 1 to 4, and then we can go flow in the reverse direction, 4, 3, 2, 1. That allows us to, again, show flow. So if we had primary and then an underbilled secondary, that allows us to show the flow going both ways. I could then also go 4, 3, 2, 5, 6 and make a third line that utilizes those same vertices, and maybe even come in and have a fourth line going 1, 2, 5, 6. Both of those allow me to show the bend, but they complete a solid line. So as you can see, there's almost an infinite number of possibilities of how those basic vertices can run. Again, just to repeat, that our line segment methodology allows us to have taps and everything like that, but the conductor methodology is going to have to form a solid line. And I'll come back and show you again here. If we wanted to show that T and we went 1, 2, 3, 4, the only way to get a T would be to go back to 2, then 5, 6, because if I came back here and tried to go to 5, I have to do it by going through 3 or going directly from 4 to 5, and that's not going to show the T as you want it. So now we're going to jump over to UtiliPad, and we're going to show you how to implement this advanced methodology. We're going to do it by starting a job like normal. Give it whatever job name we want, advanced lines in my case. And I'm going to come in here and start by creating some lines. So I go up and select the line types, but instead of showing you a drop down of the lines that are available like it does with simple lines, I'm going to get a drop down of our line types. Within every advanced line, you have to have a line type and a line name. So in this case, I'm doing an electric and an oil gathering, and I'm just going to call them A and B, and I'm going to grab a third one in here. I'm going to call it oil gathering, and I'm going to give it a name C. You can have as much other information attached as you want, but at minimum you have to have the type and the name. The name is that you can identify the type uniquely. So we could have 3 different electric lines, 4 different oil gathering lines. On this screen, after you've created them, what it's showing you is which ones do we want to make visible. Obviously by default I'm going to turn on all 3 and make all 3 visible. I've now picked up my location. I'm ready to begin collection. Of course, in this example, I'm going to use the tap to place so I don't have to rely on GPS taking me around. Get zoomed in here on the parking lot where you'll be able to easily see this being collected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin by dropping a point. When I do, you'll notice my line is blank. With simple lines, it always fills in a default line. In this case, it's blank. So I'm going to go to my line button and select it. And inside the drop down it's going to give me, it's going to make me choose which lines I want to add to this vertice. I'm going to turn on all three. So I'm going to turn on my line A, B, and C, and you'll see why in a minute. Then I'm going to go down a little further down the line here. I'm going to drop a second point. It now remembers that A, B, and C are the defaults, so I'll hit save, and it begins drawing a line. I'm going to go down a little further, do the same thing. Go down a little further again, do the same thing. So now I have 4 vertices, all with lines A, B, and C on there. This will become a little more obvious in a second what I'm doing. At this point, I'm going to actually diverge into 3 different line sets. My A, B, and C are going to separate here. So I'm going to come over here to the right. I'm going to put A in the middle, I'm going to put B, and then on the left I'm going to put C. So let's go over here to the right, and I'm going to drop a point. And I'm going to change my line types by clicking on the Lines button. And instead of having A, B, and C, I'm going to turn off B and C and just have my A on. Click Save at the bottom. And now you see just line A. And you notice a red line coming off over to this point on the right. I'm going to drop another one, hit Save. If I get zoomed in a little, drop another one, hit Save, drop a 4th one, hit Save. Now I'm going to come back to the middle line. I've traced out my line on the right as far as I want to go, so I'm going to come over here to the middle. I'm going to start collecting this. I'm going to change from line A by clicking my Lines button, turning off A, turning on B, hitting Save, and then Save again. It drops a point B. I'm going to drop another, a 3rd, and a 4th on the middle line. Once again, just like I did when I went to the middle line, I'm going to come over here to the left, traverse back. I'm now going to trace out my 3rd line. I'm going to change the line type from B and change to just C, hitting Save again. I'm going to hit Save at the top. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did on the last 2 lines. I'm going to drop 4 more points in here on my C line. And you notice the color code for each one is different. I have red, yellow, and orange. On the one in the middle that had all 3, I'm only seeing an orange. That's because it can only drop the top one. So if I go up here to my lines icon at the top right, this is where making lines visible comes in. So I can make just my line A visible. And if I go back to the map after doing that, you can see it shows me just the red line A. This is where line A runs. Go back up and put on line B only, and just my yellow line shows up running straight down the middle. Go up to the top to put on just C, and there's my line running to the left, and that's the only line that shows up. So you can see this is pretty powerful, being able to make lines visible, make multiple lines running through the same set of vertices, and I'm essentially creating sort of a T like we did before. But if it's a true T, again, I have to trace that out as a whole line as I described earlier in the video. What I'm going to do is pretend that these 3 separated lines come back into one conduit again. So I'm going to drop a point, I'm going to come back in here, and it's going to now contain A, B, and C again. I hit Save at the bottom, save on my location, and boom, they all come back into the same line point again. I'm going to drop a couple more points on that line. You notice that my yellow line in the middle is not showing up. That's because it's off. I can turn it on, make it visible again, and when I come back there, now all 3 lines show up again. Drop a couple more lines here that have A, B, and C going through them. And then I'm going to come in and for this point I'm going to make it just A coming off of it. So just A comes over here into the building. Drop another one with just A. And now I have a complete job.